Life has a way of throwing us into the deep end when we least expect it. One moment, everything seems to be going according to plan, and the next, we're caught in a storm we never saw coming. We scramble for control, grasping at solutions, trying to predict outcomes, fix problems, and manage the chaos. And yet, no matter how hard we try, some things remain far beyond our reach. The job that slipped through our fingers, the relationship that ended despite our best efforts, the diagnosis that changed everything, the unexpected detour that shattered our carefully laid out plans. We fight, we push, we plan harder, believing that if we just do enough, if we just try a little more, we can bend life to our will. But there comes a moment when we have to admit, some things are not ours to control. And that realization, it's terrifying because we don't like uncertainty. We don't like not knowing how things will turn out. We want guarantees. We want security. We want to know that everything will work out exactly as we hope. But life doesn't come with a roadmap, and it certainly doesn't come with a promise that things will always go our way. And that's where trust comes in. Not the kind of trust that's easy. Not the kind that only lasts when life is smooth. Real trust, the kind that asks us to let go even when we don't have all the answers. The kind that asks us to release the tight grip we have on the things we were never meant to carry alone. It's the trust that whispers, you may not see it now, but this moment, this struggle, this uncertainty, it's not the end of your story. Maybe right now you're in a season of unanswered questions. Maybe you're waiting for a door to open, for a breakthrough to come, for something, anything to make sense. And maybe you're exhausted from trying to control what was never yours to control in the first place. What if, instead of carrying the weight of the unknown, you chose to release it? What if you surrendered the fear, the doubt, the anxiety, and believed that even in the chaos, even in the unanswered prayers, even in the waiting, there is a plan greater than what you can see? This isn't about giving up, it's about giving in. It's about stepping back, loosening your grip, and daring to believe that you are being held, even when you feel like you're falling. It's about walking forward, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust that you don't need to. So take a deep breath, let go of what you cannot control, release the fear, the need to have it all figured out. You were never meant to hold it all together. And the moment you stop trying to, you just might find the peace you've been searching for all along. Life has a way of humbling us. One moment we think we have it all figured out, and the next, everything shifts beneath our feet. We live under the illusion that if we plan enough, work hard enough, or prepare for every possible scenario, we can keep uncertainty at bay. But deep down, we know the truth. Life is unpredictable. No matter how much control we think we have, there will always be moments that remind us we are not the ones pulling all the strings. It's in those moments, the ones we never saw coming, that we are forced to confront our deepest fears. The layoff that wasn't in our 5-year plan, the relationship that ended even though we gave it everything we had, the diagnosis that turned our world upside down, the path we were so sure of suddenly blocked with no detour in sight. And in that space between what we expected and what actually happens, we often feel lost, afraid, and powerless. We weren't taught to embrace uncertainty. We were taught to fight it, to outwork it, to strategize our way around it. But what if life isn't meant to be mastered? What if it's meant to be trusted? What if the very things we resist, the unexpected twists, the unanswered questions, are the places where we're meant to grow the most? Maybe the real invitation isn't to grip life tighter, but to loosen our hold. Maybe it's to step into the unknown, not with fear, but with faith. Because the truth is, trying to control the uncontrollable will only leave us exhausted and anxious. But trusting that there is a plan greater than our own, that's where peace is found. That's where we learn to let go, not because we are weak, but because we are wise enough to know we were never meant to hold it all together alone. So when life throws you into the deep end, when the unexpected happens and nothing makes sense, remember this. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to see the whole picture. You just have to trust that even in the uncertainty, you are exactly where you are meant to be. We are wired to seek control. It gives us a sense of safety, a belief that if we do all the right things, make all the right choices, and follow the right path, life will unfold the way we expect. We hold on to plans, timelines, and expectations like a lifeline, convinced that if we just work hard enough, think far enough ahead, and avoid enough mistakes, we can shape our futures exactly as we want them. But then life happens, a phone call in the middle of the night, a door that closes without warning, a dream that doesn't go the way we planned, and suddenly the control we thought we had slips right through our fingers. The truth is, control is an illusion. When we chase endlessly, believing it will bring us peace, when in reality, it's the very thing that keeps us restless and afraid. Because when we make control our foundation, every unexpected moment feels like a failure, every setback feels like a personal attack, and every uncertainty feels like a reason to panic. But what if we weren't meant to carry the weight of figuring everything out? What if real strength isn't in controlling every outcome, but in learning to trust, even when we don't understand? The hardest thing to accept is that we are not in charge of everything, but the most freeing thing is realizing we don't have to be. There is something greater at work, something that sees beyond what we can see, that knows the way even when we feel lost. And the more we fight for control, the more we resist the very grace that is trying to hold us. Maybe peace isn't found in certainty. Maybe peace is found in surrender. Maybe it's in the moments we release our grip and say, I don't have to know how this ends. I just have to trust that I'm being led somewhere good. Because the life we are meant for isn't built on our ability to control. It's built on our willingness to believe that even in the unknown, we are still safe, we are still held, and we are never alone. There is a fine line between effort and control. We are taught to work hard, to be responsible, to show up and give our best. But somewhere along the way, we start believing that our effort alone determines every outcome. We convince ourselves that if we just try harder, plan better, or hold on tighter, we can make things go the way we want. And then life reminds us in the most unexpected ways that some things are simply beyond our reach. No matter how much love we pour into a relationship, we cannot make someone stay. No matter how well we plan our career, we cannot force every door to open. No matter how carefully we map out our future, we cannot guarantee that life will follow our script. There are moments when we do everything right and things still don't work out. There are moments when, despite our best intentions, life hands us an outcome we never saw coming. And when that happens, our first instinct is often to grip even tighter, to search for answers, to find some way, any way, to regain control. But what if we're holding on to something we were never meant to carry? What if our real work isn't in forcing outcomes, but in learning to release them? Trust doesn't mean we stop trying. It doesn't mean we sit back and wait for life to happen to us. It means we do what we can and then let go of the things that were never ours to decide. It means understanding that our job is faithfulness, not control. It means believing that just because something is out of our hands doesn't mean it's out of control. It just means it's in better hands than ours. So maybe today is the day to loosen your grip. Maybe today is the day to stop carrying what was never yours to hold. Maybe today is the day to trust that even when things don't go the way you planned, they are still going the way they were meant to. Because sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is let go and believe that what's ahead is greater than what we're leaving behind. Uncertainty is one of the hardest things to sit with. It makes us uncomfortable, restless, even afraid. We want clarity. We want answers. We want to know exactly how things will turn out before we take the next step. But life doesn't work that way. Life asks us to move forward without a map, to trust without guarantees, to keep going even when we don't know what's waiting on the other side. The fear of uncertainty isn't really about the unknown, it's about the stories we tell ourselves about the unknown. When we don't have answers, we fill in the gaps with fear. What if this doesn't work out? What if I make the wrong decision? What if I lose what I love? What if I never get what I'm hoping for? We convince ourselves that uncertainty is dangerous, that if we don't have control, everything will fall apart. And so we scramble trying to predict outcomes, trying to prepare for every possibility, trying to hold on to something solid. But what if uncertainty isn't the enemy? What if it's actually an invitation? An invitation to let go of the exhausting need to have it all figured out. An invitation to trust that even in the unknown, we are not alone. An invitation to believe that just because we can't see the whole picture doesn't mean it isn't coming together in ways we don't yet understand. There is freedom in surrendering the need to know everything. There is peace in releasing the pressure to have all the answers. The truth is, we don't have to know exactly where we're going to trust that we're being led somewhere good. Maybe the uncertainty you fear is actually the space where something beautiful is about to unfold. Maybe instead of resisting the unknown, you lean into it. Because what if the very thing you're afraid of is the thing that will change your life in ways you never imagined? There is a moment in every journey where we reach the edge of what we can control. We've planned, we've worked, we've done everything we can, and yet there's still so much left uncertain. This is the place where fear creeps in, where doubt whispers that if we don't hold on tighter, everything might fall apart. But the truth is, control is an illusion, and real peace is never found in the things we can manipulate. It's found in trust. Trust is not easy. It requires us to loosen our grip when everything in us wants to cling tighter. It asks us to step forward without knowing exactly where the road leads. It demands that we let go of the outcomes we thought we needed and believe that something better is unfolding, even when we can't see it yet. Trust is not passive. It is one of the most courageous choices we can make. It means saying, I don't have to understand everything to believe that I am being led somewhere good. We often think that control equals security, but in reality, it's the very thing that keeps us trapped in fear. The more we try to control what was never meant to be ours, the more anxious and exhausted we become. But when we surrender, not in defeat, but in faith, we step into a freedom that control could never give us. We begin to see that life isn't something we have to force into place. It is something we are invited to trust, even when the path is unclear. Maybe today is the day to shift from striving to trusting, to stop wrestling with the things that are beyond you and start believing that even in the uncertainty, you are being held. Because the peace we long for doesn't come from knowing how everything will turn out. It comes from trusting that even when we don't, we are still exactly where we are meant to be. Letting go is not the same as giving up. Giving up is rooted in fear, in the belief that things will never work out, that there's no point in trying. Letting go, on the other hand, is an act of trust. It's a decision to release the weight of what was never ours to control in the first place. It's choosing to believe that just because we don't have all the answers doesn't mean we are lost. We hold on so tightly to plans, to relationships, to expectations, because we believe that if we loosen our grip, everything will fall apart. But what if the opposite is true? What if in our striving, we are actually resisting the very thing that is trying to lead us forward? What if peace isn't found in clinging, but in surrendering? Surrender doesn't mean we stop showing up. It doesn't mean we stop working hard or caring deeply. It means we stop trying to force outcomes that were never ours to control. It means we trust that even if things don't go according to our plans, they are still going according to a greater plan. It means releasing the anxiety, the fear, the pressure to figure everything out, and choosing instead to believe that even in the unknown, we are still being guided. Real strength is not found in forcing life to bend to our will. It's found in the courage to let go and trust. It's found in saying, I don't have to have all the answers to know that I am exactly where I need to be. Because the truth is, when we release the need to control everything, we make space for something even greater. We open ourselves up to possibilities we never could have planned for, to paths we never could have imagined, to a life that isn't just about surviving, but about truly living. There are moments in life that bring us to our knees, moments when the plan we trusted unravels, when the door we counted on slams shut, when the person we thought would always be there walks away. In those moments, it's easy to believe that this is it, the end of the story, the final word. But what if it's not? What if what feels like an ending is really a beginning we can't yet see? Pain has a way of convincing us that we are stuck, that our best days are behind us, that nothing good can come from what we've lost. But life has a rhythm that we don't always understand. The seasons change, the tide rises and falls, and just when we think all is lost, something new begins. Growth often happens in the unseen, in the waiting, in the breaking. A seed doesn't grow into a tree overnight. It sits in the darkness for a while, hidden beneath the surface, before it ever begins to push toward the light. Maybe you're in a season of waiting, of uncertainty, of not knowing how the next chapter will unfold. Maybe you're holding on to the past, afraid that what's ahead could never be as good as what's been lost. But the story isn't over. You are still here, still breathing, still moving forward, even if it doesn't feel like it. And the things that feel like detours, disappointments, and delays may actually be the very things that are preparing you for what's next. Trust doesn't mean you won't have doubts. It doesn't mean you won't feel the weight of the unknown. It means you believe, even in the silence, even in the struggle, that this moment is not the end. It means you keep going, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust that the story being written is far greater than the one you had planned. The hardest chapters often lead to the most beautiful endings. Keep turning the page. We live in a world that tells us we have to be strong, that we have to carry our burdens alone, that admitting we need help is a sign of weakness. So we do our best to hold it all together. We smile when we're breaking. We say, I'm fine, when we're anything but. We convince ourselves that if we just push a little harder, if we just keep going, we can handle it all. But deep down we know we weren't meant to carry this much weight alone. There is a kind of exhaustion that goes beyond the physical, the kind that settles in your bones, that keeps you awake at night, that makes even the smallest things feel overwhelming. It's what happens when we take on battles that were never ours to fight, when we try to control things that were never in our hands, when we believe that it's all up to us. But the truth is, we were never meant to walk this road alone. We were never meant to figure it all out by ourselves. Real strength isn't about pretending we don't need help. Real strength is found in knowing when to let go, when to surrender, when to trust that there is something bigger holding us together, even when we feel like we're falling apart. It's found in recognizing that we are being carried even in the moments we feel like we can't take another step. Maybe today is the day to stop trying to handle everything on your own. Maybe today is the day to lay down the weight you were never meant to carry. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. You are not expected to have all the answers. Some things are meant to be trusted, not controlled. And when we finally release the burden we were never meant to hold, we don't fall, we rise. There is a kind of peace that doesn't come from having everything figured out. It's not found in perfect plans or predictable outcomes. It's not the kind of peace that comes from certainty or control. It's the kind of peace that exists in the chaos, in the unknown, in the moments when life doesn't go the way we expected. It's the kind of peace that comes when we finally stop trying to force things to happen and trust that even in the uncertainty, we are exactly where we need to be. We spend so much time wrestling with life, trying to fix things, trying to change things, trying to make things go our way. And when they don't, we feel anxious, frustrated, even afraid. We believe that if we just had more control, we could finally feel safe. But real peace isn't found in control. It's found in trust. It's found in the deep, quiet knowing that even when we don't understand what's happening, we are not alone. That even when life takes unexpected turns, we are being led somewhere good. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean we stop caring. It means we stop carrying what was never meant to be ours. It means we release the need to have all the answers and believe that we don't have to see the whole picture to trust that it's coming together. It means that instead of filling the unknown with fear, we fill it with faith. Maybe today's the day to stop holding your breath, waiting for everything to make sense before you allow yourself to feel peace. Maybe today is the day to choose trust over worry, to believe that just because you don't see the way forward doesn't mean there isn't one. Maybe today is the day to remind yourself that peace isn't something you have to earn, it's something you choose. And when you finally let go of the things you were never meant to control, you will find that peace was never missing, it was just waiting for you to make space for it. There comes a point in life when we have to make a choice, not between holding on or letting go, but between fear and trust. Fear tells us that if we don't control every detail, everything will fall apart. It convinces us that uncertainty is dangerous, that setbacks mean failure, that the unknown is something to be feared. Fear keeps us up at night, overthinking every decision, replaying every mistake, carrying a weight that was never meant to be ours. But trust offers us something entirely different. It whispers, you are not alone. You don't have to have all the answers. You don't have to carry this by yourself. Trust doesn't mean life will be easy. It doesn't mean we won't face loss, disappointment, or moments that shake us to our core. But it does mean that we are being held, even when we don't feel it. It means that even when we can't see what's ahead, we are still being guided towards something greater. It means that what feels like a closed door might actually be redirection. That what feels like a delay might be preparation. That even in our deepest struggles, something beautiful is being woven together. Something we may not understand yet, but will one day look back on with awe. The truth is, we are not in control of everything, and we were never meant to be. But that isn't a reason to fear. It's a reason to breathe, to release the pressure we've placed on ourselves, to stop exhausting our minds trying to predict and manipulate every outcome, to step into a life that isn't defined by stress and striving, but by peace and trust. Because life is not about having every answer. It's about learning to walk forward even when we don't. So maybe today is the day to let go of what was never yours to control. Maybe today is the day to release the fear, the anxiety, the need to have it all figured out. Maybe today is the day to finally trust, not because everything is perfect, but because even when it isn't, you are still exactly where you are meant to be.